Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Punishing Gray Raven reaction. Sorry if I look greasy, I just got done playing the drums for a few hours, so I'm a little bit greasy. Anyway, today we're going to be listening to Vonnegut's boss theme, all phases of it, as requested by person that's it, and apparently this one's pretty good. I don't know exactly how good, I saw a few comments about it, but I don't really know anything beyond that. I don't even know the character, so I suppose I'm going to have to figure all that out to the best of my abilities, and without further ado, let's go! Oh, we get like little cutscene bits too, okay. It's kind of nice when people upload the like full context with the boss themes. Bro's mask game is on point. Really liking the atmosphere they're building on this one. It's got that sinister edge to it, exactly what you want out of a boss theme, especially for somebody who's supposed to be a large threat, but not in the like scale large, definitely in the presence large, big personality. Ooh. Okay, wait a minute. This might be going in a different direction than I expected. Loving that cinematic war drum sound on this. Cinematic's probably the best word to describe this one. Oh, that dissonance in there. Did you do it again? Nope. Okay, that was they might do it again here. I'm waiting. Nope. Those were resolved. Nope, those are okay. They didn't do that again. Interesting. That makes it even more interesting. Just having that one spot that shifts. Oh, speaking of shift. Next phase. Keying into that dissonance at that one spot was a really, really cool choice. And I wonder if they're going to bring that back or if they're just going to leave it as part of the first phase. This is an interesting start to a second phase too, because usually they want to up the intensity right away. God, they're really hanging on to it. I mean, the suspense is definitely killer. Nice. Nice timing. Really good on the cut there. I don't know if that's intentional in the cut scene, but I love that they did that. That's sick. And here's where that intensity picks up, so... Bro's got that Kylo Ren lightsaber arm. So now I'm gonna have to listen for that dissonance again. There was a hint of it there. was a tonal adjustment, not a full shift. It almost brought the character a little bit of hope on that part, like from what's a very cinematic, tragic theme. It had a moment, a fleeting moment of a brighter sound in there. This is a very complex theme. I'm surprised more people haven't requested stuff like this. And they still haven't done that. See, like right there, they did that again, but they haven't brought back the dissonance yet. Okay. Obviously inflating that scale. I assume this is probably the end of it. Yeah, okay. So that makes sense, just having it fade out that way. I'm surprised they faded it out at such like a penultimate spot there. It feels like there was a little bit more to go before it loops back, but maybe just how it's written, it would loop back to the beginning of that final phase's start. I could definitely see that. It's just an odd moment for the edit to have that, but it's not at all a fault of the song. It doesn't change anything. It's just kind of a different way to finish off a collection like this. Okay, so obviously I want to talk about that one spot where it shifted the note, and I did check again. That's really the only spot that truly happened, which is extremely intriguing to me, because when you make decisions like that as a composer, there is a reason. It's not an accident. It's not, oops, he hit the wrong key and they put out the song and it had the wrong note in there. It is within technical bounds of what you would want to play at that spot, but it's shifted a little bit to be the wrong note. So that main passage simply goes, and it kind of does that, like that's the main passage you're hearing there. And for that one moment it goes, which is an E flat instead of the E that it would normally go to. So it's like, okay, what's the significance there? Something is falling flat, almost literally. And that's usually a way to personify somebody falling apart or slipping psychologically. There is something that's not staying consistent. We have a very consistent theme for everything else in here, but for that one moment, something fell apart. You know, like for the most of the song, the most of what I am perceiving this track to be, it's a character who's clearly in the wrong. Obviously, they're the boss, but at the same time, they're well put together. The theme is well thought out. It is full. It is a lot of resolute chords. It's somebody who themselves is resolute in their mission. So when you decide to randomly throw in a flat like that, that seemingly has no other purpose being in there other than to signify something, that's got to be a psychological slip. I'm not sure how aggressive that slip may be. This, again, only happens one time, so it's very possible that it's only supposed to be that slight little slip, where just for that one moment something went wrong in their brain. Like, be that their own perception of what they're doing, maybe they doubted themselves, or potentially he fell for just a moment down the actual road of madness, not just this well thought out mastermind that so far the theme had already been placing in front of you. It's just a moment of question, a moment of something not being correct in potentially the worst way possible, because there is no reason you should have that relationship between that. Like, if you listen to these, if they're played in twos, right, the relationship of two with the, that doesn't make sense. Like, these two do not work together. It's a major and a minor, this being the major, this being the minor. The major one is the problem child here, but that's because we just listened to this entire song basically in minor. We didn't really get much outside of that. So when you introduce a random thing like this, not to mention this E flat is not in the key at all, it is completely borrowed. It's just, why is that there? It's such a weird psychological slip to have that and then have it not show up at all ever again. what a wild decision to make. Like, of course, like I said earlier, there has to be a significance to that, and I believe that that's all psychological. It's supposed to reflect the character, but it's just the fact that it happens this one time that's driving me nuts. What an insane choice to make. But it is also very possible that the composer was just like, hey, let's throw a wrench in there and see what happens. Maybe I'll like it. And they ended up liking it, and that's what we got. There's always that potential. But also, why just the one time? It never even showed up again for that final phase, which is like, usually that's when you would lean into something like that. You clue in to something earlier in a song or in a different phase, and you would bring it back to do something more with later on, and it really didn't do that. So it's just wild that they chose to do this the one time and never again. It's just such a crazy choice. But everything else about the composition was kind of more or less within expectations. The first part built up some of that atmosphere, it expanded upon it, it gave you like a blueprint of what to expect out of the character's personality, except for that one note, and then the second phase was more of like a bridge phase to the third phase, just to build up more of that tension, which is fairly common. It happens pretty often, and not always. Sometimes there is a middle phase that is just 1 to 2 to 3, but this one was more like 1, 1.5, 3, and they really like expanded that once they got to that third, because you'd be like, well, that doesn't make sense numerically. 1, 1.5, 3, where's 2? It's because they scaled so much for that last one, and that's the point, right? Like, they skipped a whole number. It's just like, whoa, where did that come from? It's so much energy, it's so much power, it's so much more impressive than phase 1 that I honestly think it's worth just saying you skipped a whole number in order to get to that point. And that one is really cool, and I love what they did with it. I like that they brought back a lot of the elements from the first phase. That's always a good thing to do anyway. You want to be able to tie those together, make the character feel more cohesive in their story, but I just like what they did. I like that it started with a cinematic sound and they had the cinematic drums and everything, but they didn't stop improving and scaling that up for the third one, because there is a point in basically any theme where you start to wonder, how far can this go? How far can they push it? How much can they wring out of this one motif? And they did a really good job at continuing to scale that up and continuing to make it bigger and better and more impressive and more threatening to an extent. You kept feeling that pressure build on top of itself, and you were crushed underneath that. So like, that intensity was definitely not lost, but I just find it so intriguing about that one note. And then honestly, that like bridge section is just, it's, again, like I said, done before. It's not like it's brand new to do that, but the way they did that and just had it be full tension, it was all tension. Usually when they do that, there's like little like motif like sprinkles throughout there. They'll like start reintroducing stuff before you get into the next phase. They really didn't do that. They were just like, hey, what if we just kept basically sitting on the one note on the piano and just laying into it? And it's just like, okay, I mean, they didn't actually do that, but you can feel that tensive relationship there where they're just sitting and cranking up that dial ever so slowly, and you don't know how high that's going to have to go before it really gets into that next phase. And I think this all matches this character perfectly. Somebody who's in a suit with the mask on there, and then for the third phase, that coming off and just cracking on the floor. Again, great job on the editor's part if that was their choice to make it start at that mask drop. Just really, really nice. I love that shit. But really cool to see that be the evolution. Like, okay, so literally all like gloves are off, effectively, like face glove off, and it's time to fight. The form change is pretty standard for fights like that, but I like the extra little bit to that, like accessory being a part of it and being part of that relationship, and just showing you that there is more stress to this fight and more to lose immediately upon starting it. And I really am surprised that people haven't requested many boss themes from this game. I think I've gotten to a few of them, but usually it's like character themes and such. But like, these are really cool to break down because they're very character centric, not just character themes, but like the boss themes, the fight themes, the battle themes. I know I've gotten to a few of those, but when they're character centric, it allows for so much more in the analytical space. So like, throw more of these at me. I would love to hear more. I don't care if they're newer bosses or older bosses. Throw me your favorite one and we'll see what happens. Or if you have anything else from PGR you want me to get to, by all means, leave in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. But if you just enjoyed this video and you want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that. And I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!